You remember the FISA Act in 2008? Now, that one was the one that was so egregious. It allowed warrantless wiretapping. It gave immunity to the telecommunication companies who acted illegally in giving out private information of their own clients. Now, remember, President Obama was totally against it until he was totally for it after he'd already won the primary and was headed towards the general election. Well, that's when you got a sense of what President Obama might be all about. And guess what's happened? Now, that was in 2008. It was supposed to run out in 2012. And they told us at the time, well, don't worry, man. It's just, let's see how it goes. And then when we get to 2012, it'll probably run out anyway. You guys are all worried. And there was a big fight back then, et cetera. This time around, no fight at all. Whew. Easy peasy, as some people say. Passed through the subcommittee, the committee, I should say, that it's in, 13-2. Almost no objection. Democrats and Republicans now agree. President Obama's been doing warrantless wiretapping, of course, as President Bush did. So most of the Democrats have bowed their heads and gone from the position of warrantless wiretapping sucks to warrantless wiretapping rocks. Liberty, privacy, overrated. U.S. Constitution, overrated. So on we march, except I do have to give credit to some of the heroes here. Senator Ron Wyden and Senator Mark Udall, both Democrats, saying, hey, you know what? This kind of sucks, and I'll tell you why. Number one, we have asked James Clapper, who's the Director of National Intelligence, are you using this to spy on innocent American citizens? He literally will not give us an answer. Now, remember, these are two senators before that had come out and said, look, we cannot tell you how they're using the Patriot Act because it is classified. But you have to trust us that it is outrageous. It would shock the conscience. And when the American people find out about it, they're going to be outraged. Now, that part I'm not so sure about because apparently we are immune to outrage. But I love that they're fighting back on this. And they say, OK, all right, look, all you got to do is have the Director of National Intelligence say, one, we're not using it on law-abiding American citizens. And how many people are we using this warrantless wiretapping is? Now, because the reason that the second part is important is, look, let's say you thought, my God, there's like 2,000 possible terrorists in the country. That would be a tremendous amount. Can you imagine if there was 2,000 sleeper cells in the country? Okay, then you have warrantless wiretapping for maybe 2,000 or 20,000. 20,000 seems outrageously high to do no warrants but invade these people's privacies, law-abiding citizens, what appear to be law-abiding citizens, right? But if it turns out the number is, oh yeah, by the way, warrantless wiretapping, yeah, we're doing that on about 200 million people, well, that would be an entirely different issue, right? That's why they want the number, because those two senators have seen the classified information. They know that in reality, they are probably wiretapping all of us. They're building this giant data center in Utah that is costing $2 billion, that is designed to set up every piece of communication, certainly in the United States, and they hope all across the world. Warrants, probable cause, whether you're innocent or guilty, whether we have reason to search you, those are antiquated. The government is now Big Brother. We search everything. And now hardly an objection is raised outside of these two fine senators. And by the way, the Director of National Intelligence answer so far has been, I enjoy hoping that Wyden and Udall enjoy a really long walk off a short pier. And by the way, their phones are probably tapped too. No, I don't know. But I mean, every phone is tapped in essence. They're allowed to listen. That's why they have the hubs at AT&T and the Verizon, et cetera, where they capture all the phone calls. That was what the whole FISA Act amendment was about in 2008. We gave them immunity to do that, to capture all of our phone calls, capture all of our emails, all the places that we go on the internet. There's that great line from Star Wars where Natalie Portman says, something along the lines of democracy dies to thunderous applause, right? But in reality, democracy dies to no reaction whatsoever. There's a couple of voices in the wilderness. There's us. There's a bunch of great writers on Salon. There's a couple of senators. We're screaming, somebody please remember the Constitution. And in a couple of libertarians, right? And then the great majority of the country moves on without even noticing. I mean, look, I don't know if they'd be outraged or not. Here's my thoughts on that, right? So if you told Americans, hey, you know what, the government is spying in on everything you're doing, every single thing you're doing, they're collecting somewhere. It doesn't mean that there's a person that's actually in charge of Bob Smith and he actually is going to build a case on you. But if you oppose the government or whatever, they could come and get you because it's all on file, right? But Bob Smith would probably be pissed. He'd be like, what? That's not right. I don't know what part of the country Bob's from, but he's not happy about it. But on the other hand, if this is how it's reported, which is how it will be reported, first of all, it won't be reported at all. Okay, this is the last time you'll hear about it. You go on, turn on cable news today, see if this comes up. Okay, good luck to you. Okay, so, and then the second part is if it does, you'll have a robot on CNN say, today the FISA Act was renewed because of security concerns about suspected terrorists, and the government has reapproved this to keep us safe. And then so you ask Bob about it at that point. He goes, well, I want to be safe. Yeah, if the goddamn terrorists, yeah, let the government, thank God government's doing something. Okay, that's how it's going to be.